intuitive, and hopefully it'll make it lots easier for you.
No, it makes it a whole lot easier for me. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Hello, everybody.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi. All right. Gosh, I've got everybody on tile today, so I can see everybody. That's intimidating. So I'm going to turn that off. Gosh, but it's great to see everybody's face. Let me just sort of bear witness to everybody.
Whoop, you're breaking up.
What? Impossible. Am I breaking up? Oh yeah, it is. It's true. Let me close some things and see if I can get this a little easier. I've got about 100,000 tabs open. Does that ever happen to you? Sort of like the breadcrumbs of the day. Oh, horoscope.com. There it is. Okay. Am I frozen, Holly? Okay, let's try again. Sorry about that. I guess you try to make a joke and the whole internet crashes. Come on. All right. Well, it looks like everybody's here and everybody was waiting on me. Is that right? Yes.
We just wanted you to have a wonderful welcome.
Well, it's really wonderful. It's great to be here, and thank you for your patience with me the last few weeks. I'd love to just share a couple personal updates. My dad's doing better. I saw him last Sunday and took him some groceries, met him at a hotel parking lot that was, not in operation, so there was nobody there, and put his groceries down with my gloves and my mask, which I thought I could model for you if you wanted. But, I got to see him in the flesh, and that was wonderful to see him breathing and alive. And then we survived the tornado that was barreling through on Monday morning at 60 miles per hour and lifted up about 2 football fields in front of our house.
Wow.
And so that was, I was kind of in the closet, texting my mom and dad saying, I love you. We're in the closet. I think we're going to be okay, but I love you. And so, wow, I don't know about you, but I'm pretty well done with 2020. I kind of want my refund on 2020. I think Holly said that once. I'm ready for my free trial to be over for 2020. So maybe so, but maybe also it is that we are learning some great lessons. So I appreciate that too. And appreciate that we have an opportunity to come together and deepen in our experience. And with that, I did bring a couple tools with me today. I thought maybe I would start in the same way that we start every time. So let's just intentionally set our space together, taking a moment to mark this time as a chance to go deeper with ourselves and with each other and with some new thoughts, some new ideas, carving out this time for sacred study as we gather together with our helpers, with the others on this journey, both seen and unseen. And we can mark this time with a few deep and centering breaths, calling ourselves present, arriving with that consistent tool that we have in our breath. And I just want to take a moment tonight and acknowledge some of the noise, some of the static, some of the buzz that's been around. And I'm going to use tonight one of my favorite tools. This is a Duverger and it's a beautiful instrument, but it's used to break static. So I'm gonna just play it a couple little chimes. And just let that sound give us a pathway to arrive in clear space. I'm gonna continue our ritual and light our candle. And as I do this, as always, imagining each of us sitting in that great big circle all around this open flame, around the singular light that we're going to learn a lot more about this evening, where it comes from, how far it goes. And I want to acknowledge that as we come together tonight, that as always, we're acknowledging that the perspective that we come to is both universal, it's beyond specific religion. You know, there's something very, I think, pure about the information that we're studying together. And I want to affirm all of you here, each of you as individuals, all of you together, affirming the collective in our divine trinities, our higher consciousness coming to be present with us, each of our individual selves and our forms, our matter, our wisdom body, and our individual selves also calling forward the collective consciousness. I'm going to set intention for an ease of communication so that anything that is passed between us tonight is clear and that the transmission is of the highest order and also of the highest goodness for each of you, for your individual path working and also the betterment of humanity, which is what I think we're really all called here to study on behalf of, to grow on behalf of. So just acknowledging each of you here, and I'm so grateful to share this journey with you, especially now when we're just being called to understand that there's something larger at play here. And I don't know about you. I don't know how much this content kind of rolls around in the back of your head, but I couldn't help over the last few weeks to really see the human kingdom and the animal kingdom and the mineral kingdom and the plant kingdom, all the kingdoms that live with us on earth. Our human kingdom is going to hell and all the other kingdoms seem really unaffected. And I don't really mean going to hell, but being able to really see in the division the unity. I just have been watching from sort of the fishbowl of my life and being able to experience those divisions a little bit differently. Holly, do you mind going ahead and pulling up the slides for us? I don't know if you guys got those yet, but thank you. And if you could go to the second slide. Okay, I'm sure that I'm just going to exit full screen so I can see my notes a little bit. I bet you've seen this chart before. Maybe ad nauseum. You might even be a little tired of this chart, but there's a lot in here. And so I think it's good. We're entering into this 4th month, and remembering anything that is anything is a trinity. That wise sentence from one of my teachers, anything that is anything is a trinity. And we remember that spirit is the thing, anything, the thing. Spirit is that thing vibrating at its highest frequency. And matter is that thing vibrating at its lowest frequency. And you see on the chart, there are a lot of different names for what this high frequency or this low frequency could be. And we also see that while this Trinity is playing out in everything in this world and beyond this world, we're also seeing it playing out at a lot of different levels. So Holly, can you go to the next slide? So you kind of remember, and this is going to become important for tonight, the sort of the original level that we started talking about in the very first class, where, you know, it's okay if that first class kind of went like this. It's okay that there were so many terms you couldn't quite digest them all, and then we kept going. I think that's how this material can work for a lot of us. It's a lot of new terms, but we remember. Do you remember divine will, divine intelligence, and divine love, and how we worked with those that first month kind of feeling? Divine will has that the arrow, the motion, the direction. Divine intelligence has that coiling, experiential energy embedded in it, and divine love is kind of what happens when those two things come together. So divine will, divine intelligence, and divine love. We're going to be talking about the 7 rays of the universe, and those are the first 3 rays. We'll get to them. From a spiritual standpoint, we have spirit, matter, and soul. From an electromagnetic standpoint, we have the positive pole, the negative pole, and the energy in between. From a karmic perspective, which might have been somewhat new in this orientation, we have the cause. So you think about spirit being that which brings the energy of movement forward in the cause, the effect, which is that space of divine intelligence, the matter, that which moves, that which could be moved. That's the effect in the karmic perspective, and the meaning, which is the working out of ideas and thoughts and forward motion between the cause and the effect, the spirit and the matter. From sort of a soul body perspective, we have that trinity of higher consciousness, of the physical body, and then that embodied consciousness that we're creating through, creating with, and living through as we, enter into contract with every moment of every day. And we can, as always, just, take any moment and go a little deeper and try to find the meaning, or we can stay right at the material, and there's no judgment about where it is that we're meeting any given moment, any given interaction. And then we also see that playing out in the individuals of our species, our human species, and seeing, that people meet things on many different levels the whole time, along their way. So I know that on some level, the terms are kind of deceptively simple. You might take them one at a time and go, oh yeah, I get that. Like spirit, matter, soul. Nice, I get that. Positive pole, negative pole, and the energy fields between the two. Okay, that's like a big bar magnet. I got it. Cause, meaning, cause, effect, and meaning. That one might be a little more abstract, but as we live with that idea, we might learn it a little bit more easily. Like, I kind of get how that's working out. Some energies causing something in the material world, some changes happening, and then we have that that self-reflective part of us that helps us understand the meaning. So on some level, we might be talking about human meaning, and then thinking about, well, what about the animal kingdom? What about the mineral kingdom? They don't really, those kingdoms don't have a self-reflective quality per se, but we know that anything here with us is contributing to some great end, for some great evolution. And by that, we can honor all on this same journey, and not even of this earth, but beyond this earth, which is where we're going to be going today. I think I was telling Holly, month 4 is just a really big month for us. So we've arrived kind of at the, I would say, the top of our journey. And then the next few months is going to be about, well, what do I do with all this? How do I live it? How do I use it in my personal healing? How do I give it back to the world? And just beginning to bring all of this goodness that we've started working with within, without. So kind of completing the beginning to complete whatever completion is, the material. So in one instance, we know that anything that is anything that is anything is a trinity. But we also know that anything that is anything has this nested nature. So you remember, and we've really moved on beyond this, but there was the Father, the Son, and the Mother, this idea that there was some son, some child aspect in the Trinity. And it's really this nesting. Holly, can you go to slide 4? We thought about it a little bit around the Russian dolls. Do you remember that? It was 1 month, and I gave you this example. It's like Russian dolls being kind of nested in each other. Well, it's more complicated than that. Of course it is. If it was just Russian dolls, then it would be easy, because it's just one nested in one, nested in one, nested in one. And we live on Earth, and we like things like calendars and days of the week and times of the day. So we really like this idea of this big thing and this little thing within it, these little things within it, and these little things within those. But in the universe, it's really more fractal in nature. So each Russian doll contains their own sets of nesting dolls, contains their own sets of nesting dolls. And I can describe that a little bit through a couple of examples. And some of these from the journey already, but we'll start little and we'll get bigger, but know that as we start small, we're going to get a little bigger, and then we're going to kind of go off into another side, and then we'll come down. So it's nothing about this material is easy to follow because of how nested everything is. But we think about an atom that has the nucleus, and it has the electron shield, and it has the relationship between the two. It has that energetic field. So if we just take this idea of an atom and we look out in our world, we can see that everything in this world, for the most part, has atoms. Every kingdom, mineral, vegetable, animal, human kingdoms, we're all made up of atoms. So let's just take mineral and vegetable and animal for a minute and set it over here and just start looking at the human kingdom, understanding that the atomic nature of those other ones exist, and very likely there's other nested unfoldings between them as well. So if we just take the human kingdom, us, is made of all these beautiful people around the earth, everyone different, but also related to the larger. And we kind of talked about that a little last time, where each one of us is, of a race, of a place, of a charge, a specific type of charge that's come. We're all holding the key to one special little part in the greater evolution. Each human in that great schematic has a spirit, has a body and has an energy system. So in each human, there's a trinity. Each human's related to the planet. So if we look at each of us, we have a body. Each of our body is made up of organs. Each organ of our body is related to a specific chakra. And each organ itself has its own little chakra system embedded in it, which we'll talk about in the Journey of the Healer course. So we start seeing, wait a minute, the body has an energy system, and then soul, spirits, that thing in between. The soul, the consciousness, is that in between. Each energy system, energy center, has a relationship to an organ, spirit, and matter, and then this working out of that relationship between. So Holly, can you go to the next slide, slide 5? So one of the examples I wanted to give you, because it might be new to you to think about the chakra system in this way, in terms of its evolutionary relationship to each of the organs. Let's think about what's going on now out in the world. I mean, we might be tired of talking about it. I am a little bit, but it's out there, so it's giving us good fodder. So let's think about the third chakra, solar plexus here. Solar plexus kind of governs willpower, in one of its wisdoms, and it's connected to the spleen. The spleen is being part of the immune system. So right now, the solar plexus is the center of our personal power and will, and the spleen is a strong organ of the immune system. So right now, out there, just beyond this call, there's this great big pandemic, this intersection of the human kingdom with another energy that's acting on us and within us. And the seat of our personal powers, each of them in our solar plexus, to some level, is probably responding to that. Do I feel powerful? Do I feel powerless? How much so? How does it change in any given moment? And that spleen, the one that's directing our immune system in the physical, the matter, the material part, is they're playing out a relationship. What's the solar plexus channeling within, and what's that organ receiving, and what's that magnetic or electric field between the two that's contributing to our inner state, how we live in our outer world, and how we're contributing as a community, maybe even a larger community, to the whole of all this. So I think that's just a nice example of how even our chakra system begins to nest itself within. Right. So we'll put the chakra system over here for now with the other kingdoms. And then let's look at the soul. We learned about that last time. So we have this nesting of the soul that's happening. So anything that is anything that is anything. So matter's defined differently, spirit's defined differently, but we have a soul that has 3 different aspects or frequencies to them: the spiritual soul, the human soul, the animal soul. And each of those frequencies of our soul has their own energetic or spiritual quality to them. And they also have some link to the vehicle, us, this material thing. So the spiritual soul relates to the relationship between higher consciousness, and the higher consciousness and the higher mind, or the higher self. So therein starts an electric field between those 2 frequencies. The human soul relates to the relationship between the higher self and then the consciousness of everyday life. A little bit different than thinking of matter like solid, which we all know anyway, nothing is solid here. It's all just vibrating at a lower frequency. Anything that is anything is a trinity. Spirit is the highest vibration and matter is the lowest vibration. So not necessarily solid. So the human soul relates to that idea of the higher self and the everyday life, the consciousness of everyday life, our feelings, our thoughts, our choices. And then we have the animal soul, which it relates to the relationship between the embodied consciousness and the primal nature. So our fight, our flight, and our freeze response. So just a little bit lower frequency of the soul, but still beyond the physical. So that's a whole nother nested universe that exists within us. So we can kind of put those over there. And I don't want you to worry too much about remembering all of those details. I don't think for now, for us, for this, it's important to get every level in every relationship. The important part for now is to have a sense of the relationships and how they nest, and how things can contain things that contain things that contain things, which just means that the trinities can contain another trinity, and can contain another trinity, and contain another trinity. So already we might arrive at the place of knowing how complicated we are and how vast we are, even if we just start with the level of our skin and go down, down, down. So far, that's kind of the level that we've been working at, just a physical and energetic and atomic. So what if we look a little more at Mother Earth and the planet and what's beyond the planet? Because we know, well, most of us know that there's certain people on the earth that I think the buck stops with me. I don't think that's anybody in our group, though. That we're in relationship with this beautiful Mother Earth and her kingdoms. So, hey, Holly, can you go to the next slide? Slide 7, I think. Yes, thank you. So let's imagine, just for a minute, getting in a rocket ship here on Earth and shooting yourself out into space. And you might even land somewhere like Saturn, the one everybody knows, Saturn, because it has the rings. That's like, other than Earth, it's the only kind of planet I know. But anyway, Jupiter's the big one. So anyway, go to whatever planet you want. And just kind of look back using your imagination at Earth down there, and beginning to see that beautiful blue planet with her weather and her oceans and her glow and her moon. And you can kind of look at her thinking about the Earth as having this beautiful body, this form, and inside that form, all these nested layers of relationships that we were just talking about. And we can think of her also at that realm of matter, that atomic nature. She's made up of all these atoms and electron shells and the energy fields between. And we remember from last time that she too has a body with energy anatomy. She's got ley lines like the meridian system. She has chakras, these beautiful sacred vortices around the globe. She has a body with bodies within them: the mineral kingdom, the vegetable kingdom, the animal kingdom, the human kingdom, the spiritual kingdom. Each of those having their beautiful own electromagnetic trinities nested inside of them. And then Holly, can you go to the next slide, please? Thank you. So if we're just sitting here on Earth, looking at Earth, imagine that that you're still out in our solar system, and you're looking down at that beautiful planet, acknowledging all those nested relationships between them. And you're thinking about how the weather operates on Earth, and how the wind patterns are related to how hot the earth gets and how the tidal patterns are connected to the moon. And so from wherever you are in the solar system, look beyond the earth and see that big, beautiful sun in the center of our solar system. And Holly can go to the next slide, please. Thank you. And then noticing a little deeper as you focus on the relationship between the earth and the sun and that space between. You see that beautiful light that's impacting, whether it's summer or winter or heating the oceans. And you're also noticing that there is something in between the sun and the earth, like a magnetic field, exactly like that trinity, a light and the form, spirit and the form. Spirit, the thing is vibrating at its highest frequency, and matter, the thing vibrating at its lowest frequency. Now, I don't think that you probably memorized that long chart at the beginning. I know I haven't. But remember that spirit can also be thought of as power, and matter can also be thought of as form. And so when we think about the Trinity like that, the sun and the earth's relationships start becoming a little bit more obvious. The sun and the earth are in relationship just like our spirit and our body is in relationship. Between the sun and the earth, there's that great electromagnetic space between them. And we see that, operating. It's how our earth revolves around the sun, and each planet in our solar system has a different magnetic relationship with the sun based on their matter and their form. Jupiter, really big. Saturn has the rings. You probably know more planets than I do. I need to get one of those placemats with the planets and start looking. But we know from science that the sun and our earth would not be able to exist without each other. The sun maintains our weather. There's life here, that consciousness that's unfolding because of the relationship with the sun. Holly, can you go to the next slide for me? The sun is also in the center of our solar system. Each planet has that same relationship, just as the earth has its kingdoms and how the body has its chakras, so too the sun has its planets. And then we go even larger. The solar system belongs to a galaxy. The galaxy is nested in the universe. And in the mystic teachings, the center of each of these is what is known as the central sun. So in electromagnetic terms, the central sun means the universal charge of life. And prana is a more everyday word that we use for that. In spiritual terms, sometimes you hear things labeled as the universal sun or highest consciousness. That's the one I like to use, higher consciousness, or the universal consciousness. And it's this consciousness of the greatest spirit, not the greatest spirit, the one that ever seeds the manifested universe. And we know that this idea, this consciousness of the greatest spirit, this highest consciousness, this universal consciousness, is both an energy, a thing, and then also a principle. And I think it's the principle that we've been really working with and getting close to in our practice over the last few months. You can think of it as the life that's living through and within all things in the universe and us. And from the central sun, they say that there's 7 rays that radiate from it. And each ray contains a different color, which represents a different frequency. And each frequency is a different form of energy. And you might remember in the second month when we were, walking through our journey, and you might remember that website that I sent you for children that talked about the 7 colors in light. So we were talking about how that all 7 colors of the visible light spectrum exist in the color white, but that when we look out in the world, we only see the frequency that's reflected back at us. But that's a really good example of how these 7 rays of the central sun exist down the nested or fractal line into something as simple as our experience of working with light. Everyday light. You know, what makes my flowers pink or my coffee cup green? And so the 7 rays are what we want to talk a little more about tonight. The 7-ray concept has been around for a long time, since at least 6 BC. You see it in the teachings of the Aryan people and also in Hinduism. You can find it in the Roman and Gnostic mystery school teachings, and then also find it in the Byzantine era of the art of the Catholic Church. And I'm going to send you a really great article this month. I'm just going to send it to you straight out so you can read the entire article. It's just extraordinary about the history of consciousness through art. And you can kind of see some of these principles laying out in the art of all times. It's extraordinary I think, to be connected to these energies through the art. And I think there's a real important reason why art is a vehicle, because it is our creative consciousness coming through us. You can also see in the Hindu tradition that these 7 rays start showing up after the Vedas, and they also appear in the Upanishads. It's a beautiful kind of, I would say, sort of one of the great foundational texts of the Hindu tradition. In the Hindu traditions, they talk about these rays as hidden powers. That's not so much in the Western perspective of them. I don't think that we always use the word power in our vernacular or language around the rays. But if you think again about our chakra system, there's 7 of them. And it might be easier to think about them as spiritual potentials. So, either hidden powers or hidden spiritual potentials. Pythagoras was the first to talk about the philosophy of light way back in 6 BC. And he talked about the philosophy of light and said that there was one God, one primary God that had 7 helpers. And so that's an image that we get in history. So we can see across different histories around the world that have been derived around, at different times coming up, about the belief of this 7-fold creation. This idea that the universe has 7 forces that make up all of life. And that's the 7 rays. That's the 7 energetic patterns that we're being asked to master ourselves. And each ray has a distinct consciousness within it. And so, you think about white light as containing these 7 consciousnesses within them, all together and each individually. So I think it's important, if we think about white light as containing all 7 frequencies, we also are light. We're beings of light. We're created by light. We reflect the light. That's for those of us who, I don't want to say do energy medicine. It's not a doing, it's a sharing. But those of us who can see the colors, we're seeing how are these qualities reflecting? How is this power reflecting? How is the potential reflecting? So our light body, if you think about our light body, it's known as the template for our physical body. And our light body contains these 7 lights, these 7 wisdoms. So I'll tell you what the rays are, and then I'm going to take you through them one at a time, sort of like a meditation. so that you can feel them. The first ray, first three rays are the primary ones: divine will or power. So you already know that one. The second ray, divine love, wisdom. The third ray, divine intelligence or adaptability or active intelligence. There's a couple different names. The fourth ray, beauty or harmony through conflict. The fifth ray, concrete knowledge or science. The sixth ray, devotion, abstract idealism, ritual, and you'll have these in the slides. Seventh ray, ceremonial organization or ceremonial magic or order. So if those sound very new to you, don't worry. We're going to work with them all month, and you're going to get to know not only a little more about how each of these rays function within you, but it is said that each person has a ray that they kind of resonate with the most. So thinking of all the humans on this planet, we're all holding one of these as our sort of special type. And then you can think how we're interacting with each other, bringing the gifts, the power, and the wisdom of these out into the world, while also calling to and calling from the other rays to sort of embed themselves. And, as you get to know the rays, I would invite you to say, ask yourself, is that me? Is that me? I also would invite you to know that sometimes it's not easy as a one-to-one. I have no idea which ray type I am. And you can find quizzes out there on the internet. And I really think it's more about going in and just seeing, what's resonating with me today. So I don't want you to feel boxed in to a process that might not work for you. But those first three, they sound pretty familiar, don't they? That's the original trinity of the manifestation: divine will, divine love, and divine intelligence. And they contain the other rays. So let's take them one at a time. And I'm going to lead you in, maybe it will be like a meditation. The way that I intend, or the way that I'm offering these rays is, what I'm trying to do is capture the vibration of them in words. And so maybe whether it be you receive them like a meditation or you feel them, I just invite you to listen in the way that you like to listen best. We've got those 7 ways of listening to the world. Maybe you feel them. Maybe you feel the emotions of them. Maybe you start hearing some resonance and patterns. Maybe you get to know yourself in relationship to them. Maybe you start hearing messages around them. Maybe it shows you images, or maybe you just really feel the power of them. So I invite you to, use the ways in which you listen and receive them. Does that sound fun? Okay. So while I'm doing that, just preparing, I'm asking higher consciousness to help seed the vibration of my words with the ray. So I welcome you to close your eyes if that feels comfortable for you. Within you is the first ray. This is the original power within you. It represents the creative that births your sense of everything mattering. You're knowing that all life is evolving. The power of this ray is the power itself and provides that first direction of evolutionary movement. There within you is an expression of the divine purpose that moves through you with a loving strength and dedication to your single-pointed vision. In you resides the power to dismantle all forms that no longer adequately express the love of God. In you resides the power to dismantle all forms that no longer adequately express the love of God. You may even be able to hear the ancient ones chanting of the lightning that annihilates, the old incantations that surround that which is in you, that liberates divine life from worn out expression. Within you is the greatest life that seeks new radiant forms of expression. So let's just feel that one for a moment. Within you is the second ray, a ray of light that fills your life with divine love. This wisdom in you reveals the grand unification, the oneness that exists in the all. Where some see things are different, you see the oneness. Through diversity, you see the all. Within you is a language of compassion and understanding. These voices that show you love revealed. When you see the love within the all, you then can reach your arms to hold the world. You are the beacon of inclusivity, a radiation of a great love, not just for those who share life with you, but for the events that unfold. You may even be able to hear the ancient ones chanting of some great cosmic magnet, the incantations that surround that which is in you, which attracts all unto yourself. Within you is the third ray of light, a ray that holds the expression of divine intelligence. This wisdom in you recognizes that there is an underlying intelligence of all nature. In you, in us, the two-legged ones that stand and work with tools, this ray of life is what animates your human thoughts, brings motion to what you're thinking. In these thoughts, there is revelation, a knowing that your mind is the mind of God, that lives not only in your experience, but in the great sea of consciousness of all humanity. This ray gives you spiritual understanding of everyday activities. There is a part of you that knows that there is an interconnectedness of all ideas. This includes the knowledge of karma, that great poetry of what was, what is, and what shall be. And you might even hear the ancient ones chanting of the keepers of all the records, the incantations of the great remembering that exists from deep, deep, deep within. Within you is the fourth ray of light that arranges the seeming chaos into some equilibrium. It finds beauty in creation. From within you, you see beyond, out into a great sea of manifested universe. And in your vision, it seems that every experience can be seen in opposite ways. Just behind your eyes is the truth, the ability to see beyond the warring dualities. Within you is the ability to see the larger perspectives and the impulse to harmonize them. You seek the beauty of divinity, for when harmony is achieved, beauty emerges. You may even be able to hear the ancient ones chanting of the seed that is the flower, the incantations of the process for birthing beauty from that which first may have seemed without any. Within you is the fifth ray. It's the ray that clarifies divinity through a deep and lasting pursuit of correct knowledge. Within you is the ability to discern truth from fiction, or larger truths from lesser ones. You see, these truths are not only in the everyday, but in the consciousness of all humanity. You have a precision in your examination that brings forward a clarity that is often seen in the scientific process. Within you is the dedication to find solution for humanity's problems. Deep within you is the belief that in all that we create, Spirit is there, Creator is there, higher consciousness is there. And you may even be able to hear the ancient ones chanting, the dispenser of knowledge, the incantations of proclaiming their mission to share truths that have not been found only by seeing them, but by discerning. Within you is the sixth ray that holds the vision and spiritual aspiration to humanity. Within you, you have an inner sage who is called to bestow the vision of divinity. Offer and know that those ready will listen. Within you is the calling to know spirit within. And this calling lifts your eyes to upward gaze and calls to that inner knowing that there is something far greater than life here. Something called the light within. And within you is the ability to bring life and light to humanity and bridge what is here to spiritual realms. Within you is the ability to guide past human desires to embrace enlightenment in its most trusted and truest definition. In this wisdom, you may even be able to hear the ancient ones chanting, the negator of desire, the incantations of truth, of light, of spirit within. Within you is the seventh ray, best known for bringing order out of chaos. You have within you the energy that translates spiritual ideas into tangible realities. There is influence, there is power, there is creation. These all allow the manifestation of divinity to manifest itself. You know divine intention and create from that. You know the magic needed to create positive change in the world. Many times this magic appears in words, spoken or written. The ability to language scaffolding that anchors the spiritual principles to everyday life. You know deep inside the magical power of speech, your sacred instrument that allows for the birthing of new forms through which divinity expresses. You may even be able to hear the ancient ones singing of the keeper of the magical word. Incantations, stories, first being offered to change the world to God. If there was ever a moment that you felt insignificant or small or not valuable, knowing that these three emanations that live within you, may they be the blessing that reminds you that you are so important, that you are connected to something so great beyond you and within you, and that everything that you choose and everything that you think and everything that you love in some way is being guided by one or a few of these rays. In everything that you intend to transcend, that you wish to become free from, whether it be a limiting belief or a lower frequency that you might be attracting. The answer is through invoking one or some of these rays. And in all of us, in each of us, there's one of these rays that is us. It's beautiful, isn't it? How big we are, how important we are. And how I think also, as we arrive in this time, how neat it is to reflect on what it means when somebody says, I'd like to hold you in white light. Or if you work in the healing arts, you know, when somebody says spirit, greater spirit, or higher consciousness, how much more you might know what they mean or what you mean. So I thought to close, it might be nice if I could hold you in the white light. So I'd like to do that. I would just like to offer from my heart to yours to hold you in the white light, the light of 7 colors. The light of 7 rays. Divine will, divine love, divine intelligence, beauty, science, devotion, magic. Those 7 parts that live within you, that restore us, that nurture us, that guide us, and that connects us to the all that is. And how important at this time in our history where we are feeling maybe so separate, that we are all the same together. And so as we bring our time to a close, let's sit and let the teaching be what it is for you. For that's a great teaching, what you conceive it to be. I'm gonna extinguish our candle and send your blessings on your way. Thank you.
Thank you, Amelia.
Oh,
Thank you.
this is bawling.
Thank you. It was beautiful.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank
you,
you so
Amelia.
much.
Thank you.
Thank
That was
you.
beautiful.
That was
Bye.
great.
Thank
You
you.
guys are
Really
beautiful. Okay. What a strap.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.